Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle of toxic relationships? Whether it's manipulative partners, draining friends, or controlling colleagues, these patterns often feel impossible to break. But what if the answer lies within you? Today, we're diving into Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the hidden, unconscious parts of ourselves that we deny or suppress. Jung believed that until we confront our shadow, it continues to influence our choices, including the people we attract. Think about it. Why do certain toxic dynamics repeat over and over again? Why do we keep finding ourselves surrounded by people who drain us, manipulate us, or reflect our worst fears? Jung would say it's because of unresolved wounds buried deep within our psyche. By the end of this video, you'll understand what the shadow is and why it matters, how your unresolved wounds attract toxic dynamics, and practical steps to start integrating your shadow and breaking free from harmful patterns. So, if you're ready to take control of your relationships and reclaim your power, let's get started. The shadow is the part of ourselves that we reject or hide, our fears, insecurities, and undesirable traits. These are aspects of our personality that we've buried because society, upbringing, or personal experiences told us they were unacceptable. For example, maybe you were taught that anger is wrong, so you suppress it. Or perhaps you were shamed for being too sensitive, so you learned to shut down your emotions. Over time, these suppressed qualities don't disappear. They linger in our unconscious, influencing our behavior and relationships without us even realizing it. Jung called this the shadow self. It's not inherently bad, it's simply the parts of ourselves we haven't yet accepted. But when left unacknowledged, the shadow can wreak havoc on our lives. Here's how it works. The more we deny certain traits in ourselves, the more we project them onto others. For instance, if you judge someone for being selfish, it might be because you're suppressing your own need for self-care. This projection creates a magnetic pull toward people who embody the very qualities we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. In short, the shadow isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a living force that shapes our relationships, our decisions, and even our sense of self. To understand why you keep attracting toxic people, we need to explore how the shadow operates in your life. So, how does the shadow lead us to attract toxic people? It's simple. Unresolved wounds and suppressed emotions create patterns. Let's break it down. First, there's projection. When we deny certain traits in ourselves, we unconsciously look for them in others. For example, if you suppress your anger, you might attract people who express it for you, often in unhealthy ways. If you struggle with low self-worth, you might find yourself drawn to partners who validate your belief that you're not enough. Second, there's magnetism. Our unresolved wounds act like magnets, pulling in people who mirror our inner conflicts. For instance, someone who denies their need for independence might attract overly controlling partners. Someone who suppresses their vulnerability might draw in emotionally unavailable friends. Third, there's repetition compulsion. Jung believed that until we confront our shadow, we're doomed to repeat the same patterns over and over again. This is why toxic dynamics feel so familiar. They're reflections of our unresolved issues. Think about your own life. Have you noticed recurring themes in your relationships? Maybe you keep attracting partners who are emotionally distant, or friends who drain your energy. These aren't coincidences, they're projections of your shadow. But here's the thing, recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking free. By confronting your shadow, you can stop projecting your unresolved wounds onto others and start attracting healthier, more balanced relationships. To do this, we need to dive deeper into shadow work, a process of acknowledging and integrating the parts of ourselves we've denied. Let's explore how to begin. So how do we break free from these toxic cycles? The answer lies in shadow work, a process of confronting and integrating the parts of ourselves we've denied. Here's how to start. First, self-reflection. Start by asking yourself, what traits do you hate in others? Maybe it's selfishness, dishonesty, or neediness. Chances are these qualities are reflections of your own suppressed traits. For example, if you find yourself judging someone for being selfish, take a moment to explore where you might also struggle with self-care or setting boundaries. These patterns often point back to parts of ourselves we've ignored or denied. Second, acceptance. Instead of pushing these traits away, acknowledge them as part of your humanity. Remember, the shadow isn't inherently bad, it's just misunderstood. By accepting these qualities, you take back your power and stop projecting them onto others. This is where the real transformation begins. Third, healing. Once you've identified and accepted your shadow, it's time to heal. This could mean working through unresolved wounds with therapy, journaling, or mindfulness practices. Healing your inner world will naturally transform your outer relationships. Think of it like tending to the roots of a tree. When the roots are healthy, the branches thrive. Finally, integration. After acknowledging and healing, you can start integrating your shadow into your identity. This doesn't mean acting on every suppressed trait. It means owning them and using them constructively. For instance, if you've suppressed anger, you can learn to channel it into assertiveness instead of aggression. By doing this, you create space for healthier, more authentic connections. These 4 steps, self-reflection, acceptance, healing, and integration, are your roadmap to breaking free from toxic patterns. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. Think about real-life examples. Someone who suppresses their need for independence might attract overly controlling partners. Someone who denies their vulnerability might draw in emotionally unavailable friends. Closer to home, think about moments when you've noticed recurring themes in your relationships. These patterns aren't random, they're mirrors of your shadow. By addressing these unresolved wounds, you can break the cycle and create space for healthier dynamics. Toxic relationships aren't random, they're mirrors of our unresolved wounds. By doing shadow work, we can heal these wounds and stop attracting the same patterns over and over again. What toxic patterns have you noticed in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.